Now, just a short time ago, Senator Reid responded to CNN, saying he's, quote, proud of this program and its groundbreaking studies. Speak for themselves, he says. Reid says it's silly and counterproductive to politicize the serious questions raised by the work of the UFO program. The head of that aerospace firm, Robert Bigelow, did not respond to CNN's multiple requests for comment by our deadline. Wolf?
Brian, there's also information that former Senator Reid tried to keep information about this entire program out of public view.
That's right, Wolf. The New York Times says Reid acknowledged to them that he and two other senators, Ted Stevens and Daniel Inouye, both deceased, did not want public debate on the Senate floor over this program. Reid told the Times that the funding for the project was so-called black money, meaning that was secret money for classified programs. They just didn't want it talked about.
There's been a lot of buzz over the last few weeks about strange sounds being heard in the atmosphere.
They're coming from all over the place. Governments in the world don't know what's going on. What are they?
The visitors.
I don't know. Whoa. What is that? Oh my God. What is that?
Ashley.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. This could go viral. This is scary as hell. Just fucking. There it is.
That's a transport. That's a truck.
No way.
Yeah. Faulty brakes.
No way that's a damn truck.
Yeah, it's the truck just went by.
That's way too. Like, just listen. Oh my God, that's so cool.
The wheels are frozen.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy fuck, that's cool. That's just a fucking bike, man. That's a truck too.
Guys, what is going on?
Strange sounds are being heard around the world. In Sweden, this sure sounds like a trumpet. In Michigan, another trumpet-like sound.
We often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
They've been visiting our planet for thousands of years, and one of the cases that would interest you most, if you give me 2 or 3 minutes to answer, is during the Cold War, 1961, there were about 50 UFOs in formation flying south from Russia to across Europe, and the Supreme Allied Commander was very concerned and about ready to press the panic button when they turned around and went back over the North Pole. So they decided to do an investigation, and they investigated for 3 years, and they decided that with absolute certainty that 4 different species at least, had been visiting this planet for thousands of years.
Aliens, they're going to be gone fast. When it comes to defending America, it is not enough to merely have an American presence in space. We must have American dominance in space. So important. Just remember, the people in our country, we're very proud of you. The country's doing well. We have a little bit of a shutdown because we believe in walls and we believe in borders and we believe in barriers. And, you know, we have a special country. People have to come in through the legal process, not just walk in. We have no idea who they are.
America,
take a good look at your beloved candidates. They're nothing but hideous space reptiles. It's true. We are aliens. But what are you going to do about it? It's a two-party system. You have to vote for one of us.
You're right. This is a two-party system.
Well, I believe I'll vote for a third-party candidate.
Go ahead. Throw your vote away.
Cigar-shaped object was discovered entering our solar system. Did you know about this? It was an exciting moment for NASA scientists who called the asteroid our very first interstellar visitor.
A pair of Harvard scientists say a massive, fast-moving visitor to our solar system may have been a probe sent by an advanced alien civilization. Astronomers were excited to discover the interstellar object last year. It was named Oumuamua. That's Hawaiian for messenger or scout.
Our top story today was Iran taunting the U.S. over the sanctions negotiations. Now an Iranian news agency is making some other accusations about the U.S., and they're interesting. The Washington Post writes FARS, which describes itself as Iran's leading independent news agency, claims documents leaked by Edward Snowden provide, quote, incontrovertible proof that an alien or extraterrestrial intelligence agenda is driving U.S. domestic and international policy.
My new national strategy for space recognizes that space is a warfighting domain, just like the land, air, and sea. We may even have a space force. We'll develop another one. Space Force. We have the Air Force, we'll have the Space Force. We have the Army, the Navy. You know, I was saying it the other day because we're doing a tremendous amount of work in space. I said, maybe we need a new force. We'll call it the Space Force.
Thanks, Sarah. I actually want to ask about UFOs. Several media reports this week disclosed
I was going to say, I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. I feel like I already want to pass on this question, given that you've got aliens sitting among you.
Several media reports disclosed the existence of a secret Pentagon program that was researching UFOs, funding ran out for that in 2012. Does the president believe in the existence of UFOs, and would he be interested in restoring funding for that program?
Somehow that question hasn't come up in our back and forth over the last couple days, but I will check into that and be happy to circle back. Jennifer? I feel like I already want to pass on this question, given that you've got aliens sitting among you.
Did you hear a loud boom earlier today? Several people heard and felt a loud noise around 12:30 Central Time this afternoon. News Channel 7's Tyler Allender joins us live in the studio. And Tyler, is any word on what it was?
Ron, with Tyndall, Eglin, and NSA Panama City nearby, we're no stranger to loud booms from time to time. This particular one seems to be a mystery, though, but I heard and felt it. As of now, there's no official word on the source. Law enforcement doesn't believe it's criminal. Many of you called our newsroom and left comments on our Facebook pages, and here's what some of you said. Barbara was wondering what the big boom was. Debbie said the houses on her street shook. Tiffany was also curious. Enid said she heard what sounded to her like an explosion in the Grand Lagoon area. Houses shook and even tripped the breakers. Now, there weren't any reports of an earthquake, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, and still, not everyone felt it. We had fewer, if any, reports from those who live closer to Tyndall, over to Callaway, Springfield, and Parker. But if we do get any leads, we'll be sure and pass them along. Ron.
In British Columbia, Canada, Dr. Glenn McPherson says he heard a strange humming sound in his home. At first, he thought it was an appliance.
Ultimately, I cut the power to the entire house, and the sound got louder.
Then he discovered he was not alone.
This is, in fact, a worldwide phenomenon, and I'm calling it the worldwide hum.
Check out his Hum Map Data project. To date, some 17,000 civilians and scientists from around the world who call themselves hummers have reached out to him, saying they heard the same thing. McPherson thinks the mysterious hum could be caused by low-frequency sound waves that sound like this. He actually built this 3-foot by 6-foot steel box that blocks out low-frequency sound waves. But for some reason, even inside it, he says he still hears the strange hum.
Going into the box made absolutely no difference whatsoever to my perception of the hum. If anything, maybe even it got louder.
Inside Edition producer Brianna Deutsch climbed inside the coffin-like box to test it out. She hears no hum.
It's pretty dark.
Now listen to these strange booms that sound almost from another planet. It could be a sonic boom from a fighter jet breaking the sound barrier. Another possibility, a meteor. This home security camera in Bridgewater, New Jersey, actually caught the flash and then the sound of a meteor.
Huge explosion, loud enough and strong enough to knock the pictures off my walls and shatter the glass all over the place.
That may help explain some of the booms. But others remain a weird mystery.
President Trump's ambitious calls for a space force.
The White House and Pentagon took the first steps today toward creating a space force as the 6th branch of the military.
Space Force
just announced that he's directed the United States military to create a 6th branch.
A 6th branch of the military governing outer space.
We are going to have the Air Force and we are going to have the Space Force.
500 years of modern astronomy has taught us that the universe is not only enormous, with 10,000 billion stars that we can see in an even larger number of planets, but it's all made of the same stuff. The real estate out there in space is pretty much like the real estate right here on Earth. So if there's life here, well, why wouldn't there be life there? Physicist Stephen Hawking points out that every time a more advanced society meets a less advanced society, it usually doesn't work out so well for the less advanced society. And so he figures maybe we shouldn't have any contact with aliens because it might not work out well for us.
Pilots in 2 different planes, one a Learjet, the other an American Airlines jet, reported seeing a mysterious object over Arizona last month, we have learned. The exchange with air traffic control sounded like something out of the Twilight Zone.
Number 71 Papa Golf, go ahead.
And was anybody above us that passed us like 30 seconds ago?
Number 71 Papa Golf, negative.
Okay. Something. A UFO. Yeah. It's American 1095. Yeah, something just passed over us. Like don't know what it was, but it's at least 2,000-3,000 feet above us. So yeah, it passed right over the top of us.
No one has figured out what it was. Other pilots did say they saw nothing.
Commercial pilots have very often reported sighting objects in the air that seem to defy the laws of physics. To what extent are these objects a threat to commercial aviation, potentially?
Well, certainly the British Ministry of Defence and our Civil Aviation Authority, which is the UK equivalent of your FAA, have dozens of cases in our files about near misses, some of which where pilots have had to take evasive action. And again, it comes back to the point, I don't care in one sense what these things are, but when there is this flight safety concern, when we have these near misses, we sure as heck should be doing more to find out.
According to their calculations, Oumuamua is less than 1 millimeter thin, but very wide like a sail, harnessing solar radiation to propel itself, similar to the spacecraft used by Count Dooku in the Star Wars films.
I just want everybody to take that with a gigantic grain of salt.
Jackie Faraday is an astrophysicist at the American Museum of Natural History. She says Oumuamua did not give off any signals suggesting it was a spacecraft.
If you say that the top 10 list of explanations does not include alien probe, what is on that list?
It's a comet.
Or an asteroid.
Or an asteroid, or a rock.
So then where is alien civilization on the list of explanations?
I don't know, real low. Real low, real low.
All accounts, the asteroid nicknamed Oumuamua, which means messenger in Hawaiian, is odd.
If that information is a potential threat to national security.
But the latest reports that I've been getting from various sources are that there are about 80 different species. And some of them look just like us, and they could walk down the street and you wouldn't know if you ran, walked past one. And they're what we call the Nordic blondes, and also the tall whites, who were actually working with the United States Air Force in Nevada. They're able to get away with that. They had a couple of their ladies dressed as nuns went into Las Vegas to shop, and they weren't detected. And I have a friend who saw one of the men walking along the street, and somebody who would recognize that they were different, and he did. So there are those kind, and then there are the short grays, as they're called, and they're the ones that you see in most of the cartoons. They're have very, very slim arms and legs, and they're very short, just a little over 5 feet, and they have a great big torso and a great big head and great big brown eyes. But they're different species, so you have to know that they're different species, and it's and know that they're all different. So if you saw the short gray, grays, you'd certainly know that there was something up that you'd never seen before. But if you saw one of the Nordic blondes, well, you'd probably say, "Oh, I wonder if she's from Denmark or somewhere,"
So this species that you're describing, are they all different in terms of nice and mean? Are some of them nice and benevolent? Are others nasty? Or how are they? Are they good to people on Earth, or are they here to harm them?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer because they have different agendas. And maybe all of us on Earth should have the same agenda, but you couldn't say maybe that Russia and China and the United States all had the same agenda at every turn, because they don't. And I would say that nearly all are benign, they're benevolent, they want to help us. There may be one or two species which do not. And that's one of the things I'm investigating at the moment, is to see who they are and what they're up to and what their agendas really are.
Ground forces are being deployed. Citizens are advised to seek shelter in rural areas. Please lock all windows and doors. Ensure your family remains quiet at all times. Do not attempt to make contact. Do not to communicate with the invading force.